My feet so fat I can't get into my roller skates. My neck and chest don't fit anymore. Look at this. It's a stick up. It don't work. I do this at a bank robbery, I look like a fool.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Working? There we go. Okay, cool. Once again, Rumble Studios glitching out on me. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's great. It's wonderful. Nothing but pure professionalism here. Might as well check the mic, make sure that's working. It is. Uh, OBS being pride, true, working, not deactivating my mic. I love it. It is Tuesday. That means another Power Up podcast show with plenty of news to talk about that I find intriguing. For those of you new that may not know about the show, is that this show covers the topics of the pop culture area. So, video games, your animes, movies, mangas, whatever I find interesting, what you find interesting, what others find interesting. We take a look at it, see what's happening in that world with the goal of keeping ourselves up to date, our minds sharp, and just see what's happening in the news. Now, the purpose of this goal is hopefully at least encourage people to remember that even though the current status of the pop culture field is a bunch of woke infested garbage, is that we can at least go back to the past in terms of nostalgia and take a look at those sort of things and enjoy entertainment for entertainment's sake. But we can also look through the weeds and stuff like that and find the stuff that hasn't been snuffed out yet. But I do believe we are starting to push back against the insanity, which is great. Which is great. So you guys just accompany me on my journey as I just take a look at what's happening in the news, pop culture news. If you enjoy the show, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and all that fun stuff. Right now, we're on YouTube, Rumble, and X, and that's pretty much it. You can find other social medias listed in the descriptions, or you can check out my X account and check out my bio. The Lincoln tree is in there. Check out my other social medias that I very sparingly check. Like the only one that maybe I check is Instagram. So that's just me cruising around. So discussions that we'll be getting to is apparently Naughty Dog gearing up for Hate for Intergalactic, and we'll read about that. We've got Microsoft layoffs, which sound not not surprising in the bit, just because companies been laying off people left and right nowadays, so it's no shocker anymore. And something about an obscenity bill here in no, I think it's in Utah, by a Republican senator or something. Sounds retarded, of course. Even though I lean more center right, that doesn't mean there's still a bunch of fools over on right side. We'll take a look at that. Let's hop in, shall we? Shout out to Barbara Vergara for subscribing over on YouTube. Thanks. Hope you enjoy it, whether it's, you know, enjoying the pop culture or via Gary Wayne stream. Appreciate it. Let's go. So, Switch 2. According to Video Game Chronicles here, apparently the Nintendo president says the Switch 2's price a key factor in lower than expected sales projection. So I'm not exactly sure what this is getting at, but let's take a read, shall we? So Nintendo boss Furukawa claims Switch 2 production is, quote, not a factor in its sales forecast. Then why the high price? Nintendo president Shuntaro Furukawa has explained the company's lower than expected Switch 2 sales projections, acknowledging that the console's relatively high price point could make it more challenging to sell compared to the original account point. Wait, so are they actually acknowledging that maybe the high price uh could affect the sales? In its result published last week, Nintendo said it expected to sell 15 million Nintendo Switch 2 consoles during its launch window. That would be a very strong performance, putting Switch 2 roughly in line with the original console, which was one of the fastest selling consoles ever. However, many industry analysts expected much higher projections for Switch 2, especially following strong pre orders for the system, which previously caused President Shuntaro Furukawa to warn of shortages in Japan. So during an investor Q&A published on Tuesday, Furukawa was asked about the forecast and why it was more conservative than many analysts estimate. The Switch 2 is priced relatively high compared to the Nintendo Switch. We recognize that there are corresponding challenges to early adoption, he replied. That being said, the two can play compatible Switch software, so there is continued continuity between the platforms. We are taking steps like bundling software with the hardware to accelerate adoption in the first fiscal year, aiming to get off to the same start we did in Nintendo Switch. Is that true? Because you're still charging what, $10 for that stupid demo that I'm sure someone's going to upload on YouTube, or you can just watch it somewhere else. So dumb. Furukawa claimed that hardware production capacity was, quote, not a factor in setting its Switch 2 sales forecast. Well, okay, this is where I'm getting confused because you're saying the production not a not a factor in its sales forecast, but you're also, I mean, that's part of the reason why they're using the tariff excuse to justify hiking up the price. So at least that's how I'm seeing. I'm not sure exactly what they're trying to do here. Additionally, the tariff situation in the U.S. or a possibility of a recession did not affect our sales volume forecast either, he said. See, this is saying it's not affecting the sales volume, but it did affect the pricing. So to me, that makes no sense. It's not gonna. He's saying it's not gonna affect the production value. It's not gonna affect the selling, value. Oh, but we got to raise that price. It's like, what? Am I missing something? Probably. Additionally, I already read that. In order to achieve sales of 15 million units, we need to manufacture the hardware in quantities greater than that. Our first goal is to get off to the same start we did with the Switch, and we are working to strengthen our production capacity so we can respond flexibly to demand. Then he went on to acknowledge the positive feedback from its many hands-on events held around the world and the pre-orders via its My Nintendo store, but again returned to what he called the Switch 2's relatively high price compared to Switch 1. Even if there is momentum around the launch, we know it will not be easy to keep the momentum going over the long term through the holiday season and beyond, he said. We have been working to ramp up the Switch 2 hardware production since even before we held the Switch 2 experience events began My Nintendo Store applications. Our sale volume forecast was not determined based on any limited to production capacity. But then why did you increase the price? This doesn't make sense to me. If you're not having a problem building the pieces, if you don't have a problem getting the parts, if you're saying you don't have a problem with the sales volume, then why are you saying that you have a problem with the tariffs to where you're justified to hiking the price if everything else is fine? You know? Because that's what their excuse was. During the Q&A, Furukawa also asked about the effects of the U.S. tariffs on Nintendo Switch 2. President Trump's tariffs have already forced Nintendo to raise some hardware prices in the U.S. Our financial projection was created based on the assumption of U.S. tariffs of 10% on products produced in Japan, Vietnam, and Cambodia, and 150% on China, Furukawa said, except Vietnam already negotiated with it, and I believe aside from China, there's a hold on the tariffs already, so that doesn't make sense. Our hardware is produced in China, Vietnam, and Cambodia. and hardware for North America is mainly produced in Vietnam. Yeah, so it shouldn't. Why is it affecting our price, especially when Vietnam? eh, And last I checked, everything is frozen except for China. While there are also some accessories and amiibo produced in China, we do not disclose the impact of tariffs on individual products. But on individual products, but yet again, you're saying we took all this into account, and that's the reason why the hardware they had to raise the hardware prices again. This reasoning doesn't make any sense to me, honestly. Like picking and choosing what stuff affected them, and then ultimately saying, "Well, you know, just because of the tariffs, we got to raise." Like, but you said the production's not like none of that is harming it. I don't know. He added, our basic policy is that for any country or region, if tariffs are imposed, we recognize them as part of the cost and incorporate them into our price. Okay, this is the first time I've ever heard him state that. This is the first time I've ever heard Nintendo state this at all. On the other hand, the fiscal year ending March 2026 is the launch period for our first new dedicated video game system in 8 years. If the tariff assumptions change, we will consider how to handle the situation while keeping in mind the importance of platform momentum and growth of the hardware install. Well, there you go. Um, I mean, to me, that just seemed like a bunch of ups and downs of changing your answer. Oh, it's not going to affect the product. It's not going to affect our sales. Not going to affect this. Uh, and we were taking the tariffs like into consideration. Oh, but in the end, we you know we had to raise the price. It's like okay, so it did affect the production. It did affect your idea of what the selling is. So why are you trying to say that like you know whatever, whatever? I'm not happy with Nintendo, especially when they passed out that new policy where they think they have the right to brick your console. Yeah, that's scummy. So I saw this for Tech for Gamers. Max Payne 3 remaster and GTA 4 port in the works, claims a data miner. The Rockstar Games catalog filled with banger after banger. There's a whole list of games that fans want remastered for modern platforms, but Rockstar is yet to listen to all of their callings. I mean, I'll take just a remaster as long as you don't bastardize any. You remake it, chances are you're gonna change it. That's why this caught my interest because I'm trying. It's been a while since I played my X Payne 3, but who knows? Who knows if they did remaster it, if they would change something? Because they already ruined. They already ruined the GTA trilogy. That said, they did remaster the GTA trilogy a few years ago. Yeah, and they butchered it. And a Red Dead Redemption port following soon after. Now the publisher is planning to port GTA 4 for modern consoles and remaster Max Payne 3. GTA 4 and Max Payne 3 are both regarded as some of the best titles in their respective franchises. However, they've gotten quite old at this point with no support for modern platforms. A remaster port would certainly give new fans to enjoy some of the Rockstar's and Nicole work. Can't you just play Max Payne 3 on PC and then mod it? There's literally a bunch of Max Payne 3 mods. GTA 4, I'm not sure. I know that's probably for 360 and what was it, PS3? I have that and I never really played it. I don't know. So Tez 2, a reliable data miner with a track record of solid inside information, now claims GTA 4 is soon to get a port for modern consoles. This would be similar to the Red Dead Redemption port release. But like how one to one was the Red Dead Redemption port? I didn't hear a lot of people complaining about it, so I think it was okay. But I definitely heard about G, especially I think with 3. The data miner mentioned that the unofficial remake of GTA 4 and GTA 5, dubbed Liberty City Preservation Project, is also due for the port's release soon. GTA 6 delay, fans can finally have something to look forward to now. While the title is currently playable on Xbox Series XS, PS5 users are unable to do so. Like Red Dead Redemption, it is also expected to launch on the Switch consoles. Additionally, the insider mentioned that if Rockstar follows its plan made during the pandemic, Max Payne 3 port in the shape of a definitive edition or a bundle alongside Max Payne 1 and 2 is also expected. Oh yeah, I also remember the remakes of Max Payne 1 and 3 or 1 and 2. Okay, Max Payne 1 and 2 remakes will be released together and are planned for a 2026 release. It only makes sense for the said Max Payne 3 remaster to drop the same year. The third entry still holds up visually to date, so just a remaster instead of a full-fledged rework would work, or remake would work too. I mean, sure. Again, my only complaint would be to make sure that it's an exact one-to-one, no removing stuff, leave it as is. But I'm not holding my breath. I saw this from that park plate here. Dave Filoni gatekeeping Star Wars. Is he doing that? My answer right away would be probably yes. Yes, he is. New reports suggest Filoni Gilroy internal battle as Lucasfilm creative chief rejects stories that don't match his vision. Ah, of course. So a bombshell allegation is making the rounds in the entertainment world. One that might finally explain the creative logjam at Lucasfilms. According to a new report, Dave Filoni could be gatekeeping Star Wars, rejecting pitches that don't align with his vision of what Star Wars should. In a recent episode of the House of R podcast, Joanna Robinson, a pop culture commentator and podcaster with industry access, dropped a major claim. According to her, multiple insiders say Andor, the critically acclaimed series from Tony Gilroy, is disliked by many within Lucasfilm. The reason? It doesn't fit Dave Filoni's narrow definition of what Star Wars should be. Okay. Because of that, pitches that take the franchise in fresh directions are allegedly getting blocked before they even get off the ground. I have heard from so many other people who have gone in to pitch Lucasfilm and have not made it past the Filoni wall, she said. And Tony Gilroy sort of snuck his way around via his relationship with Kathy Kennedy. Robinson calls it the Filoni wall, and it paints a disturbing picture of a creative bottleneck where one man's preferences are dictating the future of $1 billion franchise. Well, apparently he's doing a really crappy job because everything sucks. I do find this funny that it says the critically acclaimed series, Andor. I mean, I haven't really heard anything that great about it. So his Andor's internal opposition. What is his vision anyway? Has he even has anyone gotten what Filoni's definition of a good Star Wars thing? What's up, Komanga? I'm late again. Oh, you're fine. You're only 19 minutes late. I'll forgive you. So, despite widespread praise from fans and critics, Andor was repeatedly treated as a nuisance internally. Robinson noted that many within Lucasfilm, excluding Kathleen Kennedy, don't like the way Andor is constantly referred to as, quote, the good one. Oh my goodness. He said, yeah, as opposed to, what, the Alkalite and all that stuff? Those are good ones. She says there's been a quiet civil war between Filoni's camp and Gilroy's style, with the latter only succeeding thanks to Kennedy's personal support. That's a stunning admission, if true. Rather than embracing Andor's success as a path forward, Lucasfilm appears more interested in preserving the status quo, and that status quo means funneling nearly everything through Filoni's lens, a tactic that hasn't been working well for Disney Star Wars. I know, like the writing on the wall, like from Lucas's Padawan to corporate Sith. Dave Filoni rose to prominence as George Lucas's close collaborator on the Clone Wars. For a time, many fans believed he was the chosen heir, to Lucas's creative legacy, but over the years that reputation has eroded. Filoni's own projects, most notably the wide pan Ahsoka series, have failed to resonate with general audiences despite heavy marketing and fanfare. Critics call Ahsoka dull, bloated, and utterly boring, yet instead of course correcting, Lucasfilms films have doubled down. Is it Ahsoka? I feel like I'm pronouncing that wrong. Ahsoka. Whatever. Even more telling, Filoni has been one of the most aggressively promoted supporters of The Acolyte, a series that had already divided fans before its release, thanks to its overt political messaging and focus on ideological themes. Far from being a guardian of Lucas's vision, Filoni now appears to be leading force behind the studio's most polarizing output. I mean, just look at this picture right here. That's all you need to know of who's ruining Star Wars. They're all ruining it, and they all need to be removed. If Filoni is gatekeeping Star Wars and filtering all pitches before they make it up the ladder, could explain why we've seen such formulaic storytelling from Lucasfilms in the years since Filoni was made the chief creator officer. Notably, there have been 3 different series: Ahsoka, The Acolyte, Tales of the Empire, that focuses on witches and witchcraft with aggressive, progressive ideological messaging. Very true. It has been pointed out by many that Filoni's wife, Annie Convery, once listed her pronouns on social media as she, her, that witch. She also posted photos of herself drinking from a mug that features pentagrams, along with a slew of other media that shows her in witch hats or otherwise celebrating fictional witches. So it's altogether possible, though not confirmed, that this push towards witches in Star Wars is coming directly from the Filoni family. And it's so retarded too. Like, what does witches have to do with anything Star Wars? Like, you could say the Force is kind of magical, but what else? Like, what else is magical in Star Wars? I'm not super up to date on Star Wars. Who knows? And I mean, not coming from like this part. I mean, like back in the day. So Andor, despite its critical success, now looks like the exception that proved the rule. And if internal resistance is that kind of storytelling continues, it may be a long time before we see anything like it. I mean, the biggest thing I heard about Andor is that stupid rape scene with that out, or that sexual assault. All right. Anyway, PS5 hit Stellar Blade is coming to PC with new features in June, according to a leak trailer. So apparently, the PC version will include new content, and I do kind of I want to definitely play Stellar Blade. Shift up, Shift Up's PlayStation published action game Stellar Blade is coming to PC next month with content. That's according to a trailer for the PC version that was reportedly published early and archived by social media users. According to the leaked trailer, Stellar Blade will release on PC on June 11th and include 25 new costumes, new boss battle, support for DLSS and FSR, higher resolution textures, ultra wide support, and more. Speaking during an earning Q&A earlier this year, ShiftUp said it expects Stellar Blade to sell more on PC than it did on PlayStation 5. I would tend to agree, probably because a lot of people can make mods, stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised. I guess this is the trailer. Watch it here. I haven't watched this. I mean, this quality is quite low. Unlocked frame rate. Japanese and Chinese voiceover. That's cool. So in the AAA game market, PC devices have a higher market share than console, so we expect the performance of the PC version to exceed that of the console version, the company said. We are particularly observing trends such as the significant expansion of the single player action game market in the Asian gaming community or industry, excuse me. We have identified and analyzed both successful and underperforming cases of consoles exclusive release, and we are preparing to release the game in a way that ensures continued success in the market. Shiftoff said it has taken steps to ensure the PC version's success through optimization, enhancing user convenience, adding supplementary content, and tailored marketing strategies unique to Shift Up. It said it also planned to make sure the game runs smoothly in ultra mobile PC environments such as the Steam Deck or the Asus ROG Ally. There you go. I definitely do want to get Stellar Blade if I can at some point. So I'm looking forward to it. So we talked a little bit about Nintendo earlier, and we're over on Niche Gamer here. Switch 2 price could increase if Trump tariffs increase, says Nintendo president. So Nintendo previously delayed Switch 2 pre-orders over uncertainty for cost, even though we just read an article here that they sounded pretty real, like assured about the cost. Due to President Trump's ongoing global tariff trade war, company didn't raise the console's prices point after all, though it recently suggested price may increase in the future. Wait, it's been confirmed? Switch 2 pre-orders launch next week in the Americas with original price point. Original price point. Switch 2 will launch its pre-orders. Original price point of $449.99 for the base and okay, I mean, but I thought people didn't want that price. Anyway, company didn't raise the console's price point after all, though it recently suggested and then it future. A new financial briefing from the company noted Nintendo's consolidated net sales are expected to increase significantly by 63.1% year on year. Their operating income is only expected to increase 13% year on year. This is because the Switch 2 had a low profit margin and costs for advertising will only increase. Furukawa, not they will have to increase what? Nintendo President Shintaro Furukawa, I think supposed to be noted, not. Noted they will have to increase the number of software sold for each Switch 2 console to increase their overall profit margin. Despite this, there's a major concern over ongoing trade war / tariff changes, and Switch 2 may get a price increase later. Well, I mean, okay. I mean the way the scalpers jack up the prices, like, are we going to be surprised if Nintendo actually flips it up? The forecast for the current fiscal year is based on the assumption that tariffs by the United States will remain at the rates imposed on April 10th for the rest of the year. The tariffs were factored into a negative impact of tens of billions of yen in profits. Furukawa said our basic policy is to recognize tariffs as a cost and factor them into the price when determining the selling price in any country or region. Now, we read that in the Video Game Chronicle article. And again, this is like the first time I've ever heard about this. Like, I've ever heard like the president of Nintendo state something like that. But anyway, but their top priority is to promote the Switch 2 hardware as soon as possible. He added, if the assumptions of tariff change significantly, we will consider implementing any price adjustments after taking multiple aspects into account. Furukawa said if more tariffs are imposed and selling prices are raised on Switch 2, demand for the console may decrease in the United States. President of Nintendo also expressed concerns over the impact of higher prices for daily necessities and groceries, which will reduce spendable income that may be used for gaming or other leisurely activities. Currently, Nintendo is forecasting to sell 15 million Switch consoles, the same level as the original Switch was set for 10 months from launch. Demand for the Switch 2 is possibly outpacing how fast Nintendo can produce the console, though Furukawa noted that they are ramping up production. We have already strengthened our production system, President Furukawa said. We will make every effort to deliver the product as soon as possible after the release date. The Switch 2 will launch pre-orders in both the United States and Canada starting next week on April 24th. The original price is $450 for the base, and then $500 for Mario Kart World Bundle will remain. So we kind of got a different information compared to the other one we got, but I still don't trust Nintendo in terms, especially when they say they have the right to brick your console. Like you're definitely not going to be getting my money on that anytime soon. Or I'll get it and you can go fist yourselves because I can do whatever I want with my console when I buy it. Speaking of Nintendo and continuing with the topic of the Switch 2, apparently the video showing the mouse controls working on the home screen. New video gives a better look at the Switch 2 mouse controls in action. This comes from Video Chronicle. Initially posted on the Nintendo Today app, showing the user holding the right Joy-Con 2 on its side, using it as a mouse. The user then enters the home menu's controllers option, selects a tutorial screen which explains how the mouse controls work. Nintendo bricking your console is crazy. I know. And I haven't heard anyone say, I haven't seen anyone talking about on how, that's, not true or what have you. I haven't seen anyone really denounce that. So that tells me that they do think that they can get away with that. To which it's like, oh, then I'm not buying your stupid console then. Screen tells the users that they can make the mouse cursor appear by moving the mouse around, then explains these are 10 separate Joy-Con 2 buttons which will still be used while in mouse mode. There are 10 separate Joy-Con 2 buttons? How? It also notes that the player can use the right stick to scroll while still in mouse mode, essentially acting like the scroll wheel on the PC. All right, so I guess we can watch it. Okay, that's the list of the buttons? Wow. Hmm. I mean, what's in the end though, what would be the benefit of using the mouse? Like if Nintendo has FPS shooters, you can switch between doing that. Maybe. Both the left and right Joy-Con 2 controllers for the Switch 2 can be used as mice, each featuring an optical sensor on the side. enables unique gameplay experience not only possible on the standard PC mouse setup, such as the ability to use two mice to play games. An example of this is in Drag X Drive, where the player uses a mouse in hand and moves them forwards or backwards to mimic moving around in a wheelchair. I mean, that gets. I'm sorry, but that sounds like it'll get boring really, really quick. The addition of HD rumble in the controllers also means players can experience force feedback while using a mouse. In Switch 2 Edition mini games in Super Mario Party Jamboree, for example, player can use the mouse to pull back a toy car and can feel the wheels clicking as they do. Part of a lengthy hands-on Q&A covering many aspects of the Switch 2 hardwares and games, we noted that the Switch 2's mouse controls are very accurate and even work on the player's legs if there isn't a surface nearby, but also pointed out that it remains to be seen how comfortable mouse controls will be over long periods of time. Yep. I mean, cool, but whatever. I'm surprised they didn't charge you $5 to watch this tutorial when they want you to pay $10 for the stupid Switch 2 demo. Obscenity. So, one of the main things that definitely caught my eye, niche gamers kind of covered this a little bit, is that a Republican senator introduces a bill to define what obscenity, may pose risk to video games, anime. This is why the Republican boomers need to be removed because of stupid crap like this. The government should not be responsible to describe what obscenity is, and it should be the parents' responsibility to see what their kids are consuming and engaging in. But let's see what it's talking about here. The Republican senator has introduced a bill titled S1671, a bill to define, quote, obscenity for purposes of the Communication Acts of 1934 and for other purposes. This bill has been introduced by Senator Mike Lee, the Republican in Utah, apparently. Let's take a gander at what old Mike Lee. Because he could just be a rhino. Usually people who like going out of the way to do stupid crap like this. Oh, yeah. Oh, brother. Yeah. Look at this. This is the guy. That pretty much says everything. So there you go. Brother. So dumb. They don't even play video games. Well, I mean, let's hear his reasoning. So the bill has been introduced by Mike Lee, making it the latest in right-wing attacks against media. A Republican bill in Texas, which could have potentially made watching Goblin Slayer a felony, has been stalled in the state legislature earlier this year. Now that one I read a little bit, and there is some wording that specifies that like the felony would take place if the average person was like tricked or confused. Again, legal mindset is, I believe, covered this and talked about like the specific wording and what it means and stuff. But I understand what people were talking about is that, you know, it's the government. They make it a gray area, very loose terms and stuff, so it gives them more leeway to be abusive. That I definitely understand why people are upset about it. But this wouldn't just affect anime. It would have literally affected any sort of ongoing like series, like South Park, for example. Like you're paying what's South Park on HBO Prime or whatever the stream is. Um, so say that went into place, and then people who bought HBO as a streaming service can no longer watch South Park because of that stupid bill. Like that would just create so much problems. And I think there would be a huge heck. But anyway, they or watch manga. No, these boomers don't know anything. This is why I hate the boomers on the right side, especially people like Matt Walsh. um, who use boomer talking points about specific stuff in pop culture. Matt Walsh specifically is like the video game, video games make people violent. That argument, I believe he still pushes that, which has been debunked so many times, but they're just hell bent on pushing that. And also the boomers who just don't understand it. They don't want to learn about it. So they'll just take the words of the opponents of them explaining it to them to where it's like, no, how about you actually listen to people who actually knows what they're talking about and not lying to you or manipulating what it actually means. So currently, media is given a lot of leeway when it comes to explicit, grotesque, or otherwise potentially objectionable content. This leeway has allowed Americans to produce nearly whatever we want with only a few exceptions, as it should be, because it's called freedom of expression. And once again, uh, for me, it's one thing to have the warning, to have a warning. Some people even argument we shouldn't even have a warning sign, but we need to have at least something that at least like literally like a trailer, you know, XYZ. What we don't need is a trailer and then a rating system that literally explains certain parts of the movie or scenes or what have you that pretty much just ruins the suspense and build up. That's retarded. So this leeway has allowed Americans to produce nearly whatever we want, with only a few exceptions. Currently, a law against quote obscenity exists in the form of the Communications Acts of 1934. While restrictions on obscenities are still on the books, some consider them to be unenforceable. I kept throwing an N at the end there for Amendment reasons. And currently, obscenity is defined by what's called, quote, the Miller test, end quote. Miller test is a series of three qualifications which potentially remove First Amendment protection from potentially obscene speech. One, whether the average person applying contemporary community standards would find that the work taken as a whole appeals to their purient interest. Two, whether the work depicts or describes in a patently offensive way sexual conduct or excretory functions specifically defined by applicable state law. Three, whether the work taken as a whole lacks serious literary, artistic, political, and scientific value. Okay, that is like way over my head. Like, what? I don't. Oh my gosh. This is why I'm not, no, a lawyer apparently, because I'm like, so this is the Miller test. To me, it's just like use common sense. Should a kid be watching a movie about war or something like that? Probably not. There you go. The nebulous nature of the test has given media a relatively free pass, but should existing laws become more readily enforceable, it could have a chilling effect on video games and anime. After all, didn't Jack Thompson and other moral Puritans of the late 20th century consider video games to, quote, lack serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value? Well, I disagree with that because they do. I remember talking about that back when I was in college, whether video games were art or not. Currently, the full text of the bill is unavailable, but you can keep up to date with the status of the bill here. Want to check it out? Go to Niche Gamer and you learn about that. Yeah. Again, my biggest thing is the government defining something. Government should not need to define something like that when there's more than capable people who can determine what's like whether something you should partake in is going to offend you or afflict you or what have you. So I saw this Microsoft announcement. I was like, today, apparently, like not too long ago. So Microsoft announces plans to lay off thousands more workers. 3% of employees across all departments will be laid off, the companies. Ah, yes. And this should be of no surprising. The layoffs will take place across all levels, teams, and locations, according to a CNBC report suggesting that Microsoft's gaming division may be affected to some extent. According to the report, Microsoft has around 228,000 employees by the end of last June, which would mean laying off 6,840 employees, though it's not currently known if the employee count has risen or fallen since. In a statement to CNBC, a Microsoft spokesperson said that one of the objectives of the layoffs was to reduce layers of management, saying we continue to implement organizational changes necessary to best position the company for success in a dynamic market. Why even hire these people then to begin with if you're just going to lay them off because you want to reduce layers of management? This would be the largest mass layoff at Microsoft since January of 2023. The company confirmed plans to lay off around 4.5% of its workforce, around 10,000 employees. 2023 round of layoffs affected Microsoft's video game divisions across both Xbox and Bethesda, with a reported significant number of layoffs at 343 Industries, studio behind 2021's Halo Infinite, and Microsoft's HoloLens business. Some engineering divisions were also reportedly part of those cuts. It was followed by a game-specific round of layoffs in January of 2024, where Microsoft announced that it was cutting 1,900 staff across Xbox, Bethesda, and then its newly acquired Activision Blizzard. According to a message sent to staff at the time by Microsoft head of gaming Phil Spencer, the decision had been made after Microsoft and Activision's leadership team, quote, set priorities, identified areas of overlap, and ensured that we're all aligned on the best opportunities for growth. Spencer said in the email to staff, as we move forward in 2024, leadership of Microsoft Gaming and Activision Blizzard is committed to aligning on a strategy and an execution plan with a sustainable cost structure that will support the whole of our growing business. Together, we set priorities, identified areas of overlap, and ensure that we're aligned. You literally, what? You guys, dude, Video Game Chronicle, you literally just repeated the same thing. And then we literally read about this just above. Look at, like, my gosh, they could not find a way to end this article, so they had to pad it a little bit more. Just so that it could end up by saying it's not clear yet how many staff in Microsoft Gaming Division will be affected by the company's newly announced 3% of layoffs. This is the thing. Just buy all the studios and then just lay off a bunch of people. And they just keep doing it over and over to build that monopoly. Good job, Microsoft, and any company that does that, really. Let's see how that works out for you. Bold move, Cotton. Let's see how it works out for him. All right, so now we're at kind of like the main thing that I saw here. That is intergalactic actor reveals Neil Druckmann's coaching on upcoming online harassment. This is retarded. So the intergalactic star has been reflecting on the experience of the Last of Us cast and fan backlash. Well, yeah, because it's garbage. Fans have a right to complain about it. So the star of Naughty Dog's next game, Intergalactic the Heretic Prophet, has said that Neil Druckmann has been, quote, boot camping her on dealing with online backlash. Microsft. Yes. Heidi Gabrielle, who plays Jordan, the protagonist of Naughty Dog's next game, has said that Druckmann has been coaching her on how to deal with online backlash based on the experience of the Last of Us cast. Neil's been boot camping me, she told EW. I know Troy's experience. I know Ashley's experience. I know Laura Bailey's experience. I got a lot of love, but there was also a lot of hate over me being a woman, me being a cover, me having my head shaved, all these things that I didn't even actually initially see. So you're already being told a lie right here. It's not the fact that people hated you for being a woman or being a woman of cover or being a woman of color. They probably did hate you for shaving your head, but it's the fact that Neil clearly hates women and hates women of beauty. So he has to bastardize them to showcase on how you should feel ashamed to like a woman based, who has very nice feminine features. I don't know what his fear is of being you know, a woman phobe, I guess you could say, or like I'm so tired of his sexist being projected onto these actors. Now she may be a liberal like retard as well, but it's clear that Drunkman's clearly projecting all of this insecurity about his hatred for women onto like all these people. Kind of like with the main whatever her name is, who plays the live action version in Ellie. Like kind of like what Anna, that Star Wars girl, said, to where Hollywood hates women, and so they pretty much groom her and destroy her to make her feel not beautiful, not pretty, so she has to be non-binary or XYZ. This is the same thing. Like Drunkman's doing the same fucking thing. Neil's intergalactic game is dead on arrival. I agree. But because these people are so thick or thin-skinned that they can't handle criticism, it's just going to be ignore it. Just don't listen to the haters. Well, you've broadened the definition of haters that anybody who doesn't agree with your philosophy or your ideology. And what frustrates people, but when you guys when they pull that cheap bullshit out of their ass about that, is that these people never liked video games to begin with. Does Neil even enjoy video games? I don't even know. I mean, the way he hates women doesn't appear like he wants to. I'm out of the social media as that guys for that reason, but once I did, Neil was like, ignore it. No matter what, me and you, we're going to make something beautiful. We're going to make something that we're proud of. And this is the problem right here. You should be making a video game that the average person would enjoy, not a video game to where at the end of the day you can feel proud. That's selfish. That's not what video games are for. Video games are telling a story, having great gameplay. Some people will argue which one should be more prominent, whatever. Um, but it's not one big circle jerk that once the video game is published and produced, the only people that you've determined can truly enjoy it are literally the people who made it. Like that's not how it works at all. And people have been seeing that in the modern games for quite some time, and they call you out on it every single time. Now, are you going to get the extreme weirdos out there that will attack them just to attack them? Yes, of course. At this point, you should not be surprised. Now, those people definitely you should ignore, but they've purposely defined it to where they can ignore any sort of criticism. You should prepare for more criticism. Yep. So, Intergalactica: The Heretic Prophet was announced during the Game Awards of 2024. Features a sci-fi setting. And its debut trailer includes a Porsche spaceship. Game soundtrack is being composed by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. In that, the protagonist Jordan A. Munn is a dangerous bounty hunter, ends up stranded on Semperia, distant planet, where communications with the outside universe went dark years ago. And then he said that while the Last of Us series is about grief, the next game for Naughty Dog will be about faith, religion, and as we all know, this is just an excuse to bash Christianity. He'll support Judaism, but he won't support Christianity, and he'll probably portray all the religions in there as being respectful and having parts of it that you will agree with and that they can all unite together. But there's going to be that one big bad religion that just needs to be destroyed, and it's straight up going to be Christianity. 100% guarantee. Feel it in my bones. That's what it's going to be. And I know this because it's the same stupid Gnosticism garbage they tell over and over and over. Neil thinks fun shouldn't be in video games. He has stated this himself. Well, then he should be removed from the video game industry if he hates it. This is what I'm talking about. Why be in a field that you can be creative, make something fun and entertaining, but yet, it's clearly something you hate. So why even tolerate being there? These people have the gall to tell you to get out if they don't like this because this is progressivism, but yet they hate the very media that they're in. Like, go fist yourself, man. Tata Gabrielle expanded on those themes as part of the same interview. The question of faith is not black and white. Well, question of faith is not black and white. She explained, when you initially think of faith, you think of religion. Yes, that that's where faith came from. You can have faith in like you can put your faith into like a condition or something, but yeah, it's religion, which is part of it, but there's also a faith in oneself. Well, there's a term for that. It's called being proud of yourself. Look at this. They're already trying to change the definition of what faith means. Exactly. See, exactly like what Satan does. Iniquity was found in Satan, became prideful. That led to the fall. That led to everything spiraling out of control. There's faith in your environment or your community. All that faith means is, what are your beliefs? What are the things that you hope for? Faith surrounds flowery, but we all experience it day in and out. What is your reasoning for waking up? My question is, what is your reasoning for like hating Christianity? Because that's just what it's going to be over and over again. The majority of people who hate Christianity like don't even know what it is. They'll just cherry pick like stuff from the Bible and stuff, scripture and misquote it or even falsely quote it, sort of thing, without even bothering trying to see what it's talking about. Of course, if they don't do this to like uh since Neil liked Jews, Judaism, he wouldn't do that with the Torah. They're not going to do that with Muslims. Oh, that's annoying. Not going to do it for that. So. Druckmann said last July that numerous games, including single player projects, were in development at Naughty Dog, but stressed that while they won't all be the Last of Us titles, they will have similar goals. We create experiences that are steeped in story and character, especially relationship. He told the LA Times, stories have some sort of philosophical core that everything is going to revolve around and feed into. Excuse me, it was claimed last year that Naughty Dog's next game will have significant focus on player freedom. So I also found the rest of these articles are kind of just probably going to be stating the same article. Because we have another one from Tech for Gamers here as well. We'll just see if they have any additional stuff. Naughty Dog revealed its latest IP a few months back, and the studio saw a few interesting reactions. In many ways, the reaction reminded the team of The Last of Us Part 2, the backlash received due to various decisions related to the title. Yeah, it's because everything that you establish, you bastardized it and insulted the fans and changed it completely to make it a progressive PSA announcement. Speaking about the reactions to Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, lead actress Tadia Gabriella has revealed that Naughty Dog is already prepared for further backlash. The team has also given its actors tips to deal with online backlash in the coming years. I love that I do love that the tip is literally just ignore it. Just ignore criticism. Last of Us Part 2 continues to face similar backlash to this day, with Season 2 of the show being the latest example of criticism taken a bit too far online. What's a bit too far? That's what I want to know. What exactly is a bit too far? Like making fun of the main actress because and I know she identifies as non-binary, but we're not playing that stupid game. That she identifies as non-binary and doesn't look at all remotely like Ellie. Well, then yeah, yeah, you literally could have picked anybody, or like the person who plays Abby literally should have played Ellie to begin with. Like all of a sudden now we have to go back to having some sort of femininity into it. Oh my gosh. Speaking, okay, we know she talked to EW, discussed the experience of Naughty Dog stars like Laura Bailey, the actress who played Abby in The Last of Us Part 2. Bailey previously received death threats, and Teddy Gabriella has seen similar reactions since the announcements of Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet. During the interview, she revealed that Neil Druckmann himself coaching her on how to deal with these reactions. As per the actress, he advised her to mostly ignore the criticism online. That's not boot camping and focusing on doing her best as part of the integral act, part of whatever the stupid game is. He appears quite confident in his work, so it will be interesting to see how conversations around the studio's latest IP evolve over time. Perhaps the team will shock harsh critics with a typical gameplay quality polish a few years from now. Well, that's not going to happen because once again, you have this right here. He hates women, and so he makes his women like this, straight up give them man bodies like Abby, and you know, despite all the people trying to showcase, fit women out there and all that stuff, it was still a man's body. You need steroids to get that way. You cannot convince me otherwise. uh, so no, I don't believe this for a second. You want to know what would be absolutely hilarious is if what happened to The Last of Us Part 2, like the early leaks happen. That would be absolutely amazing if it happens again. Oh, that would be so hilarious. Because they deserve it, because they're not learning their lessons. That would be great. Well, there's that. So Fandom Pulse had this one, but it wasn't super long. Explains how faith will be explored in the game. So we kind of already read about that. Back in December, after Naughty Dog revealed the first trailer for the game, the company's president, Neil Druckmann, told the New York Times the game's story is about what happens when you put your faith in different institutions. More details were revealed in an official Naughty Dog blog post for the game written by Druckmann. States that the game's protagonist, Jordan A. Munn, is a quote dangerous bounty hunter, ends up, as we know, stranded on Simperia, distant planet, lost communication to outside world for over 100 years. In fact, anyone who's flown into it hoping to unravel its mysteries past was never heard from again. You'll have to use your skills and wits if she hopes to be the first person in over 600 years to leave its orbit, he added. Now, speaking to Entertainment Weekly, Gabrielle shared more detail on how faith will be explored. Question of faith is not black and white. When you initially think of it, you think of religion, which is part of it, but there's also faith in oneself, environment, community. All that faith is what's your belief, blah, 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 blah. We've read about this. Are you waking up? And then the article kind of ends in there. So, John F. Trent, you kind of didn't do a good job with this article. That was actually quite low. Like, I mean, I guess if he was just reporting it, I guess it's not really an. Neil Druckmann hates Christianity and loves Judaism. That's pretty much all you need to know how religion will be portrayed. This right here, yeah, that pretty much sums it up. And that's what I think. But there you guys go. That is what I have for tonight. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Take a look at what games came out throughout full game facts here. Well, bam. And we'll check for tomorrow too. So for May 13th. Ooh, Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars was released. Breakout, you have the arcade. What is Breakout? Name sounds familiar. Let me take a look at the image here. Oh, literally that. Like, okay. We've seen this one. Breakout. I like how there's a Mike and Bootsy on GameFAQs video to showcase it. Not throwing away $70 for this game. Indeed. Shadow Warrior. Ooh, Legend of Zelda, Oracle of Ages and Seasons was released. I have both those games, and they are very fun. Same with Super Mario RPG. Nice. Solid game so far. Metro, I don't know about. Game sounds familiar, but I don't know. What else? Rage 2. Plague Tale Innocence. Evil Dead the game. Doom the Dark Ages. Is that finally out? I thought I guess maybe early beta access is out. But there you go. Got some bangers up here. And then the next day, what do we got? Ooh, Animaniacs for Genesis. That's a really good game. Really good game. You got your Fire Emblem, Guilty Gear. Ooh, Dragon Ball Z, The Legacy of Goku. a game that a lot of people do not like out of the Legacy of Goku series. It's the weakest of the ones, but still, it started like the Legacy of Goku series for the Game Boy Advance. Ooh, Enter the Matrix. There you go. Bleach, Heat of the Soul 6. Nancy Drew, Ghost of Thornton Hall. Oh my gosh. Ooh, Call of Juarez Gunslinger. I need to continue the Call of Juarez um, games. I need to play the Cartel games. I need to play Cartel and then need to play Gunslinger. Ooh, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. I heard that game is really good. I think I actually have Bloodstained. Kind of like a Metroidvania sort of setup. Ooh, Mask Effect, the Legendary Edition. My buddy Phoenix from Panda Sub 2000 said I should play that. I have the original one, but I guess the Legendary Edition fixed a lot of stuff. But I don't know. Like, I don't want to buy the same game again. But there you guys go. That is all we have for tonight. So if you enjoyed it, make sure to like and subscribe and turn on notifications to get notified when I go live, whether that's this show or anything else. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Some of the people that I watch on Rumble are not online just yet, but over on YouTube, Lara is playing Doom Dark Age. We'll rate her. Alrighty, I will catch you guys on the flip side. See you guys online tomorrow. Take care. God bless.